Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bruno's MMA show. We're here today with my friend Manu,
Hi.
and I for the last episode of 2020. How you doing, Manu?
Fine, yes. This is finally this year is behind us in 3 days, so we can we can breathe a little bit.
Um, yeah, I guess. Although it's not over yet, I say
I don't
we still
know, but with all this happening, there's some light at the end of the tunnel, so we'll see what the future gonna give us.
yeah, oh, yeah, with the vaccine coming and all that, and so here's the thing: if we're gonna do a recap of 2020,
Yeah.
we have to address the pandemic.
Hmm.
And did you see? Okay, I'm just curious. Did you see the video that Dana White UFC posted about basically Dana White versus the media?
I didn't see that one. I saw the from the last month Dana White about the Mike Tyson fight, everything about the end of the year, like his last before the two UFC 257, and I didn't see this one. I know that he can be really bitter against the media. If he doesn't like anybody, he's gonna be straight up to him, and even
Yeah,
even a fan of even a casual fan can be say something he doesn't like. He's gonna tell you
yeah, I know.
everything.
Just so you know, in my last episode, I have challenged Dana White to a lightweight fight. So just for record.
Yeah, but I know he's training a lot for boxing, and
Yeah, yeah. He used to do boxing. That's why I wouldn't challenge him to a boxing fight. A lightweight fight. I figure I have more tools. Uh,
but I know he wanted to try. He tried to enter in the world of boxing with Clarissa Shields and Marie-Ève Dicker. He wanted to be promoter of this fight, but I think it doesn't work. And as he
okay.
said at his last conference, I said maybe it was better for us now with the situation out there. So
Yeah,
we'll see. But I know he's
yeah. Obviously, the whole challenge Dana White is a joke, like in the sense that he's never gonna even hear about it. But don't get me wrong. If for in any world that he would be like, yeah, well, let's do it, I would do it.
mm,
That would bring me a ton of money. But I'm joking. That said, about Zuffa boxing, it's kind of interesting because it kind of leads really well into the whole 2020 and kind of how it changed MMA.
mm,
So I'm just gonna set the stage here a little bit. So obviously Dana White did this video where he kind of manipulated facts. He kind of changed things around to how they happen. At the beginning of the pandemic, he wanted to just do shows. Like he did Brasilia without any COVID testing, and then he was gonna go to I forgot the name of the place, but he was basically gonna go to Native American land to still do the next one with Ferguson and Gaethje, and then that was canceled because Mickey Mouse told him like, hey, Dana White, don't do this. And
yeah, and I think so. He wanted, but when he said that the commission said, "I don't sanction anything that you will, and you will pay a fine." And Disney is coming behind his back and say, "No,
the
nope."
mouse is undefeated, man. The mouse is the real goat, undefeated in anything. Television, movies, MMA, whatever. The mouse wins. So so the mouse told Dana White, don't do this or else, you know. And well, he waited, and so the media was really against at that stage in time. No testing, no, because Dana White was talking about Brasilia as if that had been a successful event. He hadn't done any testing, so of course the media was kind of like, "Hey, this doesn't work." Then he said, "We're going to do it again." And when the media asked what are the guidelines, he refused to give them any information. So of course everyone was kind of like, "What is going on here? No, it doesn't sound like a good idea." And also he was downplaying the virus like his buddy Trump. They were both downplaying the virus a lot. Like,
Yeah,
so
but
yeah,
he's a right guy, right side guy. So he's a Republican in his belief, and he saw his other friend Vince McMahon do the same thing, and it didn't. As a wrestling fan, I looked at the news, and there was a lot of COVID outbreak in some centers where they performed, and but it went well. Anyways, we kind of say we can.
Here's the thing, though, because this is where he manipulated facts and changed what happened. Once he started doing the testings and there's a bubble and all of that, I agree, life has to continue as much as it can. So once he started doing events, from the first one to Ferguson and Gaethje, and they started doing it right, whether the commission is with it or not, I don't care as much. I care in the sense of MMA staying legit, not being seen as this like back alley sport. But on my personal level, I don't care if the commission cares or not, agrees or not. But I do personally think that once you do testing, you're doing it right. Because yeah, I don't want the sport to just end. But what I hated about that video is basically the video was the media being against it, period. Where a lot of them were against it the first one, he was doing it wrong, and then when he started doing it right with the testing and all that, everyone was on board. Everyone was congratulating him. So that's point one. Point two, in the video itself, he bragged about all the testings. Because I know you haven't seen it, so I'm giving you the context. So therefore, he's bragging about the fact that he did it, so the implication is he agrees with the testings if he's bragging about it. But at first, that's not what he was saying. So with the video, he's contradicting himself. Because he was downplaying it at first, and now he's like, oh, you know, like, look at all the testing we did. Oh, so testing was a good idea then. You know, you can't have it both ways. And just to finish it up, so he grabbed just the parts of people who were skeptic or condemning him at first and left out. So I think a proper video would have been, if he wanted to brag, you know. And by the way, in the video, he ignored all of the fighters, all of the coaches, all this, everyone who had been the real heroes. You know, like he ignored all of that. It was all about him walking in slow motion with some epic motivating music. Like it was completely ridiculous. And the right way to do it, if he wanted to do a video where he bragged about how he did it, I think it would have been like the media was skeptic at first, and we did it right. And everyone was like, you know what? He did it, because there's plenty of footage of the same people, or most of them, saying like, wow, he did it right. He pulled it off. So I think a better way to do it would have been media going, oh, it's not a good idea. Then he proves them wrong. I think that would have been better, you know. But what Dana White wants to do is he wants to discredit media. He wants the fans to follow blindly what he says. And it's the same, like when he doesn't want to pay a fighter, oh, he doesn't want to fight. Like it's always the same thing. And it's very much denying facts and like his buddy Trump. And,
this is Dana White, because say where we can sit with the negotiations with the fighters. Like and Rumble who left for Bellator.
yes,
This is not his problem. Go talk to him. We discussed, but it didn't work out. Like he said, what? And even the journalist asked him. So there was discussion and it didn't well work out. And this is just him. Yeah, just him. It didn't work out. I have nothing. This is not my fault. This is not my fault. Yeah.
It's, you know what's crazy is that Dana White's it's kind of good at manipulating facts for casuals. Like a lot of people believe that he saved MMA. Like Dana White didn't save MMA. He saved a company called UFC, but he didn't save MMA. MMA was big in other parts of the world. It would have gotten to the States anyway. It's like he's good at brainwashing people into thinking UFC is the only thing in town. Like, it drives me nuts when people talk about Demetrius Johnson and they're like, oh, I miss Demetrius Johnson. Like, what do you mean you miss him? Go to YouTube. Check out One Championship. All his fights there are for free online on YouTube. It's that easy to watch. And people are like, oh, he's not in the UFC. I miss him. Like, you can still watch him. And by the way, he's getting like very good opponents over there. It's not like he's running through them. So it just drives me nuts. And I'm very happy because in the video he was bragging about not firing anyone, but now he says he's going to let go 60 fighters. Okay, I guess fighters are independent contractors, not employees of the UFC. But what I love about this here is what they did brought a lot of ice to the sport because there was no other sport around. And then I was like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. But now it's kind of like this thing where all the other companies are starting to get, you know, like the way he dismissed fighters and didn't see their value because they have the contract with ESPN. Well, Yoel Romero's going to Bellator. And now you start seeing people saying, oh, I guess I'll watch Bellator. And now Anthony Pettis is going to PFL. And like, oh, I guess I'll start watching PFL. And that is freaking amazing, man. I feel like this year is kind of like karma, you know, like, yeah, they were bigger than ever, which, by the way, again, they're bragging about how big they were this year. A few months ago, it's like, oh, I can't pay the fighters. There's no live gate. You're like, yeah, sure. And people are just like, it's kind of funny how he is good at manipulating. Well, he's not good at it, but he's so insistent on manipulating the facts that people will parrot it. And oh, there's no live gate. How can he pay the fighters? And now he brags about how like much business they made by being the only sport around. And it's just
we cannot know the numbers. He never tells how much the fighters are getting paid. We don't know how much, and everything. He decides which fight is appealing. Even if the fans are asking like, oh, we want Tony Ferguson against Michael Chandler. If he doesn't say, oh, we saw him a lot of times say, oh, this is them. I know, but we want to set up a match that, for his eyes, is gonna be interesting for him. Most of the time, this is some good matchups. We're not gonna lie that he's gonna make shit, but this is mostly his views that he wants to push the front.
Sorry, you're talking about 2020, how you see the light at the end of the tunnel. So do I, in the sense of fighters, because first of all, the MMA FA has broken through. Like they can do a class action against the UFC. So already the purses have starting to be shown, and so these things are changing. And you're talking about beautiful boxing. Of course, boxers have lost protecting them, and soon so will MMA fighters. And now the competition is starting to get their guys. So the way that Dana White never saw the value in the fighters he had, unless they were Conor McGregor or something. How they treated Silva when he left, like Anderson Silva, like Perez tried to have a matchup with him and never have they just, and that's why Perez left for PFL. Is like, I saw how they treated Silva at the end, and, you understand, there's no point in sticking around. So the way they're treating fighters, and they're like, oh, we got a contender series, we're gonna grab like lots of young fighters, we don't have to pay them, buy Yoel Romero, and all that stuff. Well, now eyes are going to be on other promotions.
Even Ferguson is in rumors to be released with these last two fights, but I don't think. But with his last two fights, and
but that's not insider rumors. So that's just what people say.
I will not be surprised if, and he warned everybody that we have a stack. We have a stack a lot of fighters, and we have to make a mass cutting. So we're gonna see about a lot of big names getting released before the end of January. I won't be surprised.
The thing about Tony Ferguson is, and I hate to say this, I'm a massive fan of his, but I don't think he'll be champion at this point. Because like the thing is that after he lost to Gaethje, my argument was always with Khabib would have been more of a grappling fight. So sometimes styles make fights, like the fight that. But now we saw him lose badly to another contender in his weight class to striking, and then to grappling. So it's not like you can see a favorable matchup where he gets a championship. At this point, there's at least two guys in there who outstrike him and outgrapple him. So, like how sometimes, depending on how the fights happen, you can branch out in a way that the matches are favorable to you and you can get to a championship, even though there's another guy there who could have beaten you, but because he got beaten by this other guy. And, sometimes you can.
Well, we saw a lot of his example. Gilbert Burns passed his way between Leon Edwards and he got contender in the middleweight championship. And Gaethje made the same thing too. Everybody was waiting for Ferguson and Khabib, and he just wrecked that dream with his fight in May. That's the thing. And Ferguson is like Joseph Benavidez at the start of the year against Figueiredo. I think Ferguson is at the same stage. It was his last chance for a championship fight.
Yeah.
He blew it. we will see what the future will do. Maybe he's gonna come back and make work like Glover Teixeira is heading for a title shot. But I think that the Ferguson has lost his last chance for the championship fight for the future.
Yeah, here's the thing about Ferguson, and this is going to be complex, and who knows. I think his change is more mental, and I think it's a mental change because even the way he moves, even everything is different about him. I don't think he's slowed down physically. I think there's something different mentally. And you could even argue, like in the Oliveira fight, he didn't have Eddie Bravo with him anymore and all that. He changed his team. But for Gaethje, they have been preparing for Khabib such a long time, and then they face a striker basically that he can't take down because Gaethje has good takedown defense. And then by the time he faces Oliveira, he no longer has Eddie Bravo in his corner. And Ferguson has been doing things his way, so I'm kind of thinking like, even when he went to fight Oliveira, he didn't have the same swagger to him and all that. He wasn't dancing. The way he moved was much more conventional. Against Gaethje too, he could never get something going. And normally we see Ferguson do stuff where he's in a flow state, which we didn't see him do. So I don't know if that's going to come back. I don't know if there's so many things that can happen, especially because we know, and I say this very respectfully, we know that Ferguson has some issues, that he has to work through. And who knows that can affect you? Who knows how sometimes anything can affect you, and sometimes you might be in a flow state in a certain moment, but if you change anything about your life, then you're not anymore. So it's kind of complex. You know what? I don't want to get too much into it. I just think that Ferguson is just different now mentally, and I don't think it's physical. So there's still hope for me that he might bring it back, but I don't think so at his age, especially. Not in the sense that he couldn't right now. I think he could if everything lined up again mentally for him, but I don't think the UFC is going to give him the chance. And when you see like Wonder Boy, they keep trying to get rid of Wonder Boy. Like he's 38, but he wins.
But for Ferguson, I think that the Gaethje fight has taken a toll on him. Getting it like this is for any fighters how tough mentally you can be. This is something that will leave trace. I'm not saying that he will not overcome it, but this is that beating left a toll on him, and maybe that transpired in his Oliveira fight. And now for Ferguson, I think that the Gaethje fight left some scars for him, and he still have to work against it. And I hope that he's gonna come back and work hard to come back. But we don't know what going from there.
I think with Ferguson, there's a matter of fundamentals as well. Like with Gaethje used a lot of good boxing techniques. And Ferguson's known for like looking up when he uppercuts and doing things that fundamentally are not the right way to do them. And so you had Gaethje was like spot on with his like moving his head and not being in the same place where he threw the punch and stuff like that. And then with in the past also with Oliveira, you can see that Ferguson would accept takedowns. He wouldn't defend him. Sometimes he defend him, but also sometimes he would just go to the ground and do his stuff, do his jiu-jitsu. And that works when the guy's trying maybe to ground and pound you and you have like the 10th planet game off your back. But if you have someone like Oliveira, who's like this master at jiu-jitsu, especially applied to MMA, the guy's not giving you the space throwing punches. He's doing jiu-jitsu. And there's a difference to be understood there because, there's something about someone who brings it to a level. So Khabib, for example, is a master of ground and pound, grappling and pounding and all of that. But Oliveira's like kind of like very classic jiu-jitsu for MMA. So he's not going to give you that space where he's trying to sit up and punch all the time. And he's also trying submissions. He's close, like so. That space that a lot of other fighters like Kevin Lee would give Ferguson, they would give him that space. Oliveira doesn't give you that space. He does fundamental jiu-jitsu. I don't mean fundamental in the sense that it's simple. It's very advanced, but I mean it's actual Brazilian jiu-jitsu, not grappling for MMA. I mean, it's Brazilian jiu-jitsu adapted for MMA, but it's actual Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like it's sticky to you. It's sticking to you. He's gonna do submissions.
His moves his move is swift and doesn't give you, like you said, doesn't give you space to react of his move. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ferguson was like an accomplished wrestler, so who knows if maybe there's a version of him that just works on that wrestling again and just all. But at this time, at his age and all that, like the people has to go through. I just don't see it happening, and I don't know. Like he's always talking about how he also does baseball and all that. And you know what I kind of wish for? I don't know if he's good enough to win to baseball, but what I kind of wish for him is if he is to be cut from the UFC and all that. At this point, I don't think the championship path is clear for him. And if he can go into baseball and get paid there, that would be kind of amazing for him. I don't know if he's good enough. I have no idea. I don't know baseball enough. That's just something he says. Sometimes you see him throwing a baseball. Yeah, as a fan, I kind of, as a fan, we have this thing where we never want to see the fighters leave. But at the same time, like, do you want to see them go on a sad note? Like it's just.
Right, like Anderson Silva, his last fight at the end of the attached to the leg of the referee. Do we want to see that kind of fight, the last fight for every fighter? Now, I can understand GSP now that when he was asked by Ariel Helwani, will you come? This is hard. This is hard, but at my age, this is something that I've really. This is really hard. Even if he keeps, like I said, he keeps informed because he wanted to, but getting back in the fighting shape and everything, this is something really hard. And he's 39, like Ferguson, and this is everybody has his moment. Like Ferguson was the best at this moment.
Well, here's the thing. Now that we saw Ferguson and Oliveira, just to conclude the whole Ferguson thing, because I'm such a huge fan, of course, it took a big part of 2020 in this conversation, but and I'm still a huge fan of Ferguson. I just have to call it like I see it. But and I don't say this in any rude manner. That man is still world class, but I think Oliveira might be the next champion, to be honest with you. But after seeing Ferguson and Oliveira, I can put it. I don't want this to sound disrespectful when I say it, but I can kind of put to rest the Khabib and Ferguson fight, because if Oliveira did that to him, Khabib does the same thing. That's
definitely. Khabib was and maybe when we make another fight, we will see 2021, but. The ease that he disposed of Gaethje, I thought that Gaethje had really had the tools to give him a challenge. The way that he moves around the ring, his wrestling was good, but he was a power puncher, but. Khabib take the punch of Gaethje easily, and he put him down with ease. And when we heard that he did it with a broken toe, and he changed his submission move because he said, "Okay, I know that he won't tap out. I will break his arm, but by knowing that his parent was there, I'm gonna choke him up." This is something that he won't.
Is that something? Because I heard people theorize that, but is that something Khabib said, or?
Cormier, he talked to Cormier. Cormier said that.
Oh, he confirmed.
He confirmed that the Khabib change is the way that he was going to finish the fight. He even before the fight, he already knew how he was going to finish it. So
Khabib
the
is a Khabib is an amazing human being, I think, and a lot of people can misunderstand him because yes, we see him with dictators, but let me be clear on this: he doesn't have a choice. Like it's not like he has a choice. Like he can't say no to those dictators where he lives, and also this is gonna complex, but I don't know what his political opinions are deep down or whatever. But at the same time, yeah, where you grow up, it's gonna affect you, right? The way you think. Like my political opinions are because I'm in the West and all of that. So I don't put too much value in that. What I put value is in seeing how a human being interacts with other human beings. And when you see something like that, when the guy decides to not hurt him in front of his parents and then tells him take care of your parents and all that. It's kind of like Khabib is an
yeah,
amazing human being, and yeah, he cornered like Artem Lobov and slapped him and all that. But Khabib is also this guy with a very almost like when you say old school, people hear old school and they think like the man of the '60s or something. But Khabib is like old school medieval, and I don't mean in a disrespectful way. I just mean in the mindset of like honor, like honor, like it's kind of like a medieval knight or a samurai or something. It's like if you say something about him, the context doesn't matter. You said it, like it's just
yeah.
so
We saw
yeah.
the extreme. We saw with Conor McGregor. He was disrespectful with him. He went nuts with him, and he wasn't giving a shit. And if he said, "Oh, if you women make a you uh, the contest, the UFC contender, do you do you want to do it against McGregor? No, I won't give
Oh,
it.
no,
Give
no,
it.
Ultimate Fighter Contender is different. Contender is Dana White. People fight. There's no tournament. Ultimate Fighter is a tournament form, which I think is more valuable for who really deserves it, so to speak. Contender is just like Dana White chooses whatever F he wants. And I remember Contender turned me off real quick when there was a guy who made fought really good, fought his butt off, and he was really good. I don't remember his name right now. And he ended the last round with a takedown to kind of ensure his victory because the guy had lost. And just to make sure the guy doesn't get a lucky punch, he just did a takedown at the very end. And because of that, Dana White didn't pick him. And I was like, come on, man. Like, really? Um, it was just transparent how Dana White wants certain fighters. And through Contender, he can really, because Ultimate Fighter was about results. And Contenders, like, even if the guy wins, Dana White can be like, oh, you didn't win in a way I liked. So more and more the UFC through Contender, what we're going to see is we're not going to see necessarily the best of the best. We're going to see the best within the style that Dana White likes to see because it's getting rid of fighters. People come in and people know what they have to do in Contender. So ironically, over time, we might see like people who are very grappling heavy who will not get, how can I put this? The best one might not even be at UFC anymore because their style is not fan friendly. Uh, anyway, that's kind of like a long-term thing if they continue heading this way. And also like other fighters, like I said, are going to other organizations, which is awesome. But yeah, 2020 has been crazy. Like Khabib's retirement, Ferguson's fall, I don't know what to call it. And we see like a lot of old fighters being really disrespected at this point. Like for sure, Junior Dos Santos is gonna be let go. Though for him, like 4 losses in a row, I can understand. Like, but the thing is that I don't know. What do you make of 2020 in MMA, Manu? What do you think?
This was a good year. Dana White managed to, except at the start, but the start was good. The January, February was heading to be some good matchups. And at the start of the pandemic, I wasn't sure for what he's gonna do. Wanting to still keep making shows, but he proved that he can make it work, and it worked out well. For we saw a good match like Ferguson Gaethje. We had Valentina Shevchenko still. We want to see now a third match between her and Amanda
Nunes?
Nunes. Yeah,
Yeah.
we want to see this. I appreciate to see the loss of Sean O'Malley. Like I told you behind the scenes, I don't know. I'm not liking this guy. He was too much a show off. I don't for me, but to see, I hope that this loss may humble him, but we'll
I don't
see.
think.
I don't think so, but yeah, we'll see with TJ Dillashaw what we will do. I hope that is they won't. Well, I hope that they make him work his way through the championship, not going to like he was going to do before his suspension. Are you gonna kill the 130 125 division? He was there for killing it, but
Um,
when
and
they
yeah, I think Sean O'Malley. I saw him as something that was good for his sport because he had that kind of like thing that brought attention, but I didn't like how he handled the loss.
yeah
So going forward, is he gonna turn it? Because I think Sean O'Malley was in many ways kind of like this guy who was like quirky and just interesting to watch. And in that sense, since you're a wrestling fan, I guess that made him the face. Like the skinny boy, he didn't look like. But now it's kind of like he kind of turned to the heel in wrestling terms because of how he handled the loss and the things he's been saying.
no. This for me and for as a wrestling fan, he was working as a heel all the time. To be cocky that much, to say the Cody Garbrandt knockout was, oh, that's all right. Say to make a video about it. Oh, he did this. Oh, but my KO was like this. That was nice. That was one of the best KO ever. And Cody Garbrandt, oh, that was okay. I don't know. That is some ill work for me as a wrestling fan for those watching. But this I hope that this loss humbled him. But because I don't no, I thought and my
But there's people that you watch fights so to see him lose, so maybe he can be that for you. TJ Dillashaw is gonna skip their line for sure. They're gonna give him like one fight. If he wins that fight, they're putting him in a title fight right away. I'm telling you, Dillashaw for sure. He's gonna skipping the line.
but
And, yeah.
if he's the same he in the same division as Cody Garbrandt and they promised him the Figueredo at the when he come back too. So this will be a puzzle for Dana White. Maybe another matchup between the Shea and Garbrandt, and after we'll see. But and what one thing that may make me laugh, but make me shows is the discussion of the pound for pound with Jon Jones starting to why we give him to Habib after 15 match defense title, and he has 4. Yeah, that is legit. We can say, but between Habib, you have the USADA cloud above you. That is the thing. You can't say that the USADA didn't sanction you, but still you have failed test.
I think, yeah, I think Jon Jones. When you look at it, there's many arguments to say Khabib over him. One is, like you said, the USADA. That's an argument against. Like whether you want to put weight on it, that's an argument against. Khabib never had that. There's the fact that in fights that Jones had, some people argue that maybe the other guy won. That's something that Khabib, no one who watches a Khabib fight is like, I think Gaethje won that one.
Oh, one who did it is Conor McGregor, and I think it's by luck. We
one round.
cannot
Yeah, one round.
by
One round.
round, and we can say that it was almost luck from Conor to do that. Now,
No, but the thing is, sorry.
Conor good, but he wasn't at the same level that Habib. I think that's the thing that for me for the best, the way that he beat his opponent was without a doubt.
Yeah.
So and the Jones as some fight that was against Gustafsson. We cannot say that Gustafsson has maybe won the first fight, but Dominic Reyes was dominant in this fight. He lost, but some people say that the judge were a little bit sketchy, but they put Reyes and Gustafsson put some doubt
Reyes.
in.
Yeah, Reyes is one that you could definitely say, hey, maybe Reyes won there actually. So all of that, and you know what? If you wanna be nitpicky about it, the time that Jones lost because of the elbows, that's still lost on the record. Like Khabib followed the rules to the end, you know. So that's, if we're gonna talk about the sport, that has to be something to take into consideration. So I think that Jones is certainly in the conversation of pound for pound greatest fighter of all time for sure. But I understand the whole number of defenses, but I think that Jones has too many stains in his record. So I would put GSP above him. I would put Khabib above him for sure. And look, speaking of GSP, Khabib, like, let's get into 2021 before we close this one. So
I think GSP closed it, unless this is he gave him. Dana White came with a lot of money, and I think Khabib too said if you came with that much money, maybe. But Khabib does not have anything to prove himself. Maybe for his father he's gonna make 230, maybe. But
I think GSP is the way you bring Khabib back. I think that's Dana White knowing that's like, oh, Khabib retired already. There's maybe one fight left if I can go GSP. I think in 2021 we're gonna see. I don't know if we're gonna see Ben Askren versus Jake Paul in a boxing fight. Now that's in the air. But
the boxing world, this is ridiculous.
But I don't know if we'll see that one. We know we'll see Mayweather and Logan Paul. But what I think we'll see, seriously, what I think we'll see is Khabib and GSP in 2021. I think so. I think it's gonna be around the end of the year with a crowd. I think we're going to see Khabib and GSP. I think that's in the cards for 2021. I think we're also going to see our organization start to rise and be a real competitor to UFC more and more because of the names that are going to other places. Just the fact that Anthony Pettis, when he left, people were like, oh, is he going to probably Bellator? His brother is there, and Bellator makes sense. And then he went to PFL. Now you're kind of like adding another name in there. People are talking about PFL as well. Like, I think 2021 will be really exciting for MMA. I think 2020 was a crazy year, and it was like the start of a lot of things. But okay, wait, we're skipping one thing. Manu, what's your number one fight of the year for 2020?
For me, I cannot. For me, it's Gaethje against Ferguson. To see to see a match like this, for me, this is one that I love to see. For me,
Makes me cry.
Personally, I cannot see another one.
A lot of people are talking the Figueiredo fight. To be honest, sorry.
Against Moreno or against?
Right. Me, I'm gonna go with Joanna Zhang. That's the one that I think was from start to finish. Yes, it's a woman's fight.
Well, I forgot. I wasn't sure this was this year. I thought that was last year, but I thought that it was in 2019. But if it's 2020, okay. I changed my mind. This is the Joanna against Meng. That was a cut. Oh.
You know why I'm sure it's this year? Because that was the night before my son was born.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure it was going to its 2-year anniversary soon. I wasn't sure. I knew it was, but I thought it was in 2019.
That fight was insane because that was back and forth from beginning to end.
Yeah.
It made no sense. It was superhuman. And when you want to talk about people leaving something of them, And also the Poirier and drawing a blank from City Kickboxing.
Steph Thompson ou c'est Dan Hooker?
No, Dustin Poirier versus
C'est Dan Hooker. I'm sure that's Dan Hooker. Poirier in July? Was it in July?
No, more recently. Poirier fought. It's I don't know what it is. It's not coming to me right now. I'll put a subtitle here. I am so ashamed right now. I don't remember his name.
Before today, I checked the results of all the results of the shows, and I think
do you have a computer at hand? It's from. Oh my God! Do you have a computer at hand right now?
No, sorry.
It doesn't matter. Okay, you know what? I'll put in subtitles. I'll accept my shame. Manu, it's okay. I'm the one who put his name on the MMA show. I should know this. Dan Hooker. Oh my God. No, wait.
This is what I said. I said Dan Hooker.
You did?
I said Dan Hooker. I said it, Dan Hooker. And I was sure that he fought with Dan Hooker, and I know that was a good fight.
Yeah, that was
amazing.
But
for me, the Joanna and Meng, it was intense. Like you said, I never saw a match where punches going like this and hitting hard from each fighter. It was intense.
Is that those old Dragon Ball cartoons where like someone was punching and kicking and they were very lazy about it, just put lines. Yeah, they would just put lines there to represent the punches and kicks. It's kind of like they just stood in front of each other and just threw like this, and I always like it seemed like the real life version of that. It seemed like two people just standing in front of each other, and the lines would go like.
It's like for the Dragon Ball fans and anime fans, the Goku against the Freezer fight, all the things that were all the fights. Or Jiren, we were for the Dragon Ball Super fan, and that was
Vegeta. Imagine Vegeta and Goku. I don't know that was an amazing fight. That was crazy, and but of course, like Khabib often said, it's MMA, and in MMA, it's also grappling, and I think a lot of fighters, that was a kickboxing fight, basically, It was exciting, but then it's every time someone does well, and they're like, "Oh, that would have been a challenge for Khabib," but Khabib's like, "Yeah, well, I have grappling," And with Usman and Masvidal, wasn't that like a boring fight? But the whole lead up to it was amazing. But then,
but I think the matchup would have been really interesting if Masvidal would have had his complete training, because even if he was dominated in the wrestling, but it wasn't that easy for Usman for the fight he made. He was able to outclass him, but if Masvidal would have the time to train for him, I think the matchup would have been a lot more tight. The decision would have been more tight, and maybe it would have been interesting to see. It was a complete training camp. I think it would have been really more interesting for a complete training camp against Usman, and maybe it would have been. But I'm looking forward to see Gilbert Burns. He's a good fighter, and we'll see in 2021. I don't know. We don't have a date yet, but I'm looking forward to see Gilbert Burns against Usman.
So here's the thing. I understand what you're saying, but the level of gap there was, I don't think a training camp would have changed enough things. I think it would have changed something, but when people say a training camp, I don't think a training camp would have changed the gap between Usman and Masvidal and their wrestling. For sure, Usman was playing it safe. He wasn't trying to finish. He was just trying to hug Masvidal against the fence and get the like the number of time in control of the fight and win that way and stomping his feet.
But like this. He's Usman. He said, "I'm not gonna fight fire with fire. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna be the water against the fire.
I don't
I'm
blame
not
him.
the against Gilbert of Covington. He's a power puncher. I won't go punch for punch against him. I'm gonna out wrestle him. This is my plan. This is like Khabib. Khabib is the most versatile fighter we can say now. He has the tools to counter everything. But Usman was I'm not gonna say he's a good puncher. I'm not gonna go punch for punch against him. Maybe
I
I
don't
won't
blame him.
take any chance. He doesn't take any chance. That's the thing.
And I don't blame Usman at all. I don't blame him at all. But there's something when you watch Khabib fight and use his wrestling. Khabib goes for the finish, whereas Usman goes for a technical win, which, it's fine. It's a sport. I will not blame him at all. Anyone holding the belt, like any fans was like, oh, you should have done this and that. You know what? Like when you win something you work hard to get, and your family, you making money for your family, like you're going to go for the win. And the win will be different for different people. But I don't blame Usman at all. And
Yeah.
so just to finish it off, like, because just to cap it off, I think we're going to get an answer because I think 2021 another fight is going to bring us. I think it's Covington and Masvidal, and I think there we'll see. Okay, Masvidal had a full training camp. What does it look like? Because Covington brings that wrestling there. So, do you think? I think that we're going to see more of the same that we saw with Usman, except Covington might be a bit more vicious. What do you think?
We cannot. I don't know if I don't know for. I think Masvidal's gonna win for. Is gonna win. He's. I'm not saying that he's gonna try like he did with Ben Askren because I think he didn't respect him and he just won. But he worked for that way. He worked for that hit, for that knee hit. So I don't know. He's a good puncher, but I think that Masvidal, knowing that is street cred, we can say. I think this is the one who's gonna be more vicious between the two. I think,
I think, yeah, no, this is not the result I want, but I think Covington wins. And I want to be clear, it's not the result I want. It's just the one I think will happen logically, according to what we saw with Usman. I think the gap in wrestling was so big. And don't get me wrong, Masvidal has amazing wrestling, but the whole. Then again, maybe he trains for that whole fencing. I think the fight against Covington will tell us a lot. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I think it has to happen for the
but
story of it, not for title implication. For the story of it, it has to happen.
but
And
they
but I think, yeah.
but because the wrestling we cannot say because they learned from the same school. They were on the same team and they were old friends. We can say so. We
Yeah,
they learn from the same from the same school. I
yeah,
thought that's why we cannot say the wrestling will play something. They know they work at they train each other against each other a lot. So maybe they know themselves really well. I think this is about the striking, or maybe they're gonna be both defensive and it's gonna be decision, but it's a decision. But for me,
yeah.
I'm gonna go for Masvidal for a split decision.
I'm gonna be cheering for Masvidal for sure if that fight happens. But yeah, well, we'll see. I hope you're right because your argument is basically, oh well, maybe he knows the wrestling tricks Covington has because they've been training together. Maybe. I would hope so. I sure hope so. Anyway, so Manu, any last thoughts on 2020 and coming 2021?
I hope 2021 will see good matchup. I hope that I I'm for I made myself that for Habib I think that he's gonna keep his word. He's a man of honor, so I think he's gonna keep his word. But he didn't vacate his belt yet, so we'll see.
And I want
Uh,
to take it away rather, yeah.
yeah, or this. Uh, I'm looking forward to see how Michael Chandler will end against Dan Hooker. This gonna be a good matchup. I'm looking forward to see Jan Blachowicz against Israel Adesanya. This
Oh
is
my God, how could I forget that? You're right. I love Adesanya. Man, that's
yeah.
cool.
Uh, Adesanya he's starting to make himself to enter himself in the books of the great of his generation. He's starting. We'll see against Jan and yeah. See Robert Whittaker. I'm looking forward to what he's gonna be. What's gonna see. He's starting to climb back the ladder, and I think he's the next one that he could be the next one to the Israel belt. Well, I'm looking for there's a lot of fighters I'm looking forward to see in 2021.
I, I I think as long as Adesanya is at the top of that ladder, Whittaker never claims back on top. Maybe if Adesanya moves to a light heavyweight, maybe he stays in light heavyweight, because if Jones is going to heavyweight, maybe Adesanya wants to stay close to that, you know? So maybe that's where Whittaker can reclaim the middleweight belt. So maybe, who knows? Because Adesanya said that, you know, that Adesanya has an interesting frame where he's lean, but he's not like outsized per se by a light heavyweight, or he's lean, like he's lighter, but he's not outsized. You know what I mean? Like the reach and all that. So in that sense, maybe maybe he likes like speed against power. Like I don't think, my opinion is Adesanya wins against Blachowicz. I think that's what happens. I think Adesanya wins, and maybe we see Adesanya versus Jones.
Yeah, but they're working their way for that in Twitter. But now Jon Jones is he wants to fight Ngannou. He wants to fight Adesanya. Uh,
Ngannou. Oh my God. Oh yeah, that's an. Oh,
Look, Ngannou against Stipe. I hope that this will happen in 2021. It seems that they're playing with Francis, and this is sad. The guy has learned from his loss against the first fight against Stipe.
we
He
don't.
was
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We don't know that, because every fight Ngannou has, and so quickly, it might be the same thing all over again. Because Stipe has such good boxing. Look, I gotta make this quick. I know you have to go, but Stipe has such good boxing. You could see the head movement. Like Stipe, when you watch the fight, everyone makes a big deal about the wrestling that Stipe used against Ngannou. That's a big part of it. But how did he avoid Ngannou's power? And even in the moments where Ngannou would clip him a little bit, you could see it hurt Stipe. So at any moment, Ngannou can have that one punch that seals the deal. But you can see that Stipe's hand movement of boxing allowed him to then use the wrestling. So the thing is that maybe Ngannou has progressed enough to now beat Stipe. That could be. We don't know. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen
we are not,
wrestling.
but from what we'd heard backstage, his mental state again when he first fight me Miocic, he was a little bit too cocky he was over his head, like his old trainer saying that I don't want to train for that kind of for the kind of stance or anything. Maybe, but maybe mentally he's more prepared. Maybe he wants to be more focused. We see that he trained with big time boxing trainers, and he's
Steady Atlas, man. That will, if anyone will fix your boxing, that's Steady Atlas, man.
uh,
I love Ngannou. I also love Stipe. So I just want to see the fight, because Francis deserves a shot no matter what happens. And I don't know who gets it. But the thing is that, to me, we've been told a narrative that Francis is more ready. I'm just pointing out respectfully, because I love Francis, we haven't seen anything that confirms that. That's just what we've been told. So I'm very eager to see. I want to see it. I want to see Francis against Stipe. I want to see it. I love both guys. Like, I mean, Francis has a story that's amazing. Like the things he's been through, and the self-belief that led him to where he is now. It's an amazing story. Stipe is a fireman, even as he's the UFC champion. Like, how can you not love that? those two guys are amazing. I want to see them fight. So we can get the answers. It's like Ferguson and Khabib. I wanted to get my answers. I got him with Oliveira, I guess. But now I want to see, has Francis evolved enough to change what happens against Stipe? I want to see that.
But for me, the Stipe against Francis is to see the mental evolution of Francis, to see if he has learned from his first loss and his horrendous match against Derek Lewis. After those two fights, he was mentally at the bottom. I hope that he learned from those two fights and to be mentally prepared and mentally prepare himself for a fight of this size. Yeah, like I said, 2021 is really interesting in subject of the prospect of the fight that could happen this year, and 2020 was a difficult year, but the MMA managed to put some balm on. They gave us good matches, and we were able to pass through this year with some great knockouts and takedowns. So I can be happy for what the MMA offered us in 2020.
You know what? Likewise, I have nothing to add to that. I think that's a great note to conclude on. I'm really looking forward to 2021 and to pay more attention to the organizations as well. I think I've been guilty of kind of focusing a lot on UFC. There's a lot to say about the other ones, and I intend to do a lot. I have in the past, but I intend to do a lot more of that as well.
Yeah, for me as well. I have to check more of that. There's not just the UFC, like in wrestling. There's not just WWE. There's a lot of indies that we can watch, or other the AEW for those who wants to see something different. We have to know that there's a lot of variety. We cannot stick to one type of fight. So,
and especially in North America, I don't know. YouTube is different in different countries. Like some countries are geo-blocked and whatever. Although there's ways to get around that. But one championship, you just go on YouTube and you can see all of the Demetrius Johnson fights. They're amazing. Mighty Mouse is amazing. Like one championship has so many great fighters. So, but anyway, okay, Manu, thank you very much for coming. This has been an amazing year in MMA indeed, and let's look forward to 2021.
Yeah, have a nice year.